Welcome to the Simply Authentic podcast with Angie and Tanya, where we strive to inspire, empower, and challenge you to be your most authentic self. We'll talk a little real estate and interview entrepreneurs, business and community leaders, and hear inspiring stories. Welcome back to the Simply Authentic podcast. I'm Tanya Murfin.
And I'm Angie Mullings.
Angie, I want to just let everyone know that I've got the crud. So you can hear it in my voice. I might be a little squeaky. I might have to cough. But you had the crud a few weeks ago, and now I've got the crud.
It's going around.
It is. It's that time of year.
It is.
You just swap it back and forth. But
That's right.
We're not going to talk about the crud today.
That is not our topic for today.
No, it is not. We're going to talk about dreaming. And we're going to get into some ideas for you of how to still dream as an adult and maybe reflect on dreaming as a kid and what that was like.
Yeah.
So we're excited about this podcast in particular because it goes along with kind of our theme for 2024 of reinventing yourself, self-improvement, doing those sorts of things. So we have had a nutritionist come on and talk about food.
Financial planner. So, we're trying to get all aspects of your life, get you to think about all aspects of your life and wellness in all aspects.
Yes.
So we talked about financial wellness, nutrition. We're going to be talking about your physical health. And so today, really focusing on the mind and, as you said, sort of in reinventing yourself.
Right.
And since we're on this self-improvement kick, we'll just continue that theme. So I want you to take just a minute and think about how you feel right this minute. Like, how did you feel when you woke up this morning? Start asking yourself some questions. How'd you feel when you woke up this morning? Were you excited for the day? Do you feel challenged on a regular basis? Are you working towards something bigger? And if the answers to all those questions are no, then maybe it's time to figure out a new direction.
Yeah.
Or try to, and we use this word again, reinvent yourself. Because it's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are, what position you're in, what profession you're in.
Right.
You can start today. And today is a great day because we're all reinvigorated with the new year.
Yes,
We all
always.
start out with great intentions for the new year. We're going to challenge you and continue to bring you content. We hope that makes you think about this consistently throughout the year, not just as we kick off this new year.
Absolutely.
So I want you to start asking yourself some new questions. If the answers to all those questions I posed before were no, then start asking yourself some new questions. What does excite you? What would bring more joy to your day? What lights you up? What do you get truly excited about? And maybe something is missing that you really need to try to figure out. When we start out when we're kids, we dream a lot. We don't know, it's pre-time where people have put us down or put thoughts in our heads that we weren't good enough. We're just free to be kids and we dream and that hopefully continues into early adulthood, teenage years into adulthood. I remember as a kid spending my summers in the hayfield. I grew up on a dairy farm, talked about that, and really my job throughout the summer was to rake hay. And what that means is you spend a lot of time by yourself.
Okay.
You're in the field and you're going round and around and around and you're the only person out there. And while I did like to sing Delta Dawn at the top of my lungs, thinking no one could hear me and not thinking about, I was in this low valley where everyone can hear everything you say. I thought I was all by myself and I would dream and sing, and I had huge dreams, when you're growing up on a dairy farm and you grow up in a town of, 200 people, there's not a lot of inspiration around you in terms of variety. I think that's what you're missing when you grow up in a small town. That wouldn't change anything for the world.
Right.
Appreciate my upbringing, but you lack the variety of options in terms of what you can do with your life. So I only could see what was right in front of me. That's why a lot of kids will say, I want to be a teacher when I grow up, or I want to be a policeman, because that's what they see. I wanted to be a fashion icon.
Okay.
So my dreams were much bigger, but and I believed that they could happen.
Yeah.
I believed I was going to get off the farm and I was going to go do something big with my life, and I have.
Yeah.
And while the intention has changed, the direction has changed, I'm still continuing to dream. But we all get in that place where we stop dreaming, right? And when we're in high school, people are asking us, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to, you're going to go to college? You're going to start a job? What are you going to do? So we get all those questions, and we're continuing to dream. That continues once you graduate from college. Now you're still getting asked, what are you going to do? Now you got to get a real job.
Right.
And then the dullness sets in.
Yeah.
You get into whatever job you thought you wanted to do, and maybe you didn't put a lot of thought into it, and sometimes we just get stuck.
Yeah.
And we don't continue to dream. We stop dreaming because now we're in this job. We need the money. We stay with this job because now we're making good money, and maybe we stop asking ourselves the questions of what does excite me, because we're just living day to day. We're just getting by.
Well, and don't you think that reality sets in around the high school graduation? Probably a little bit. You're getting a little dose of reality. You got to figure out what your next step is. And then college, you're getting ready to finish that. And do you like what you've chosen to do?
Right.
And so the reality of the world and real life and adulthood steps in, and probably you lose a little bit of dreaming ability because you've rushed into that adulthood.
Right.
Suddenly you've got to be a grown-up, you got to start paying your own bills, you got to get a job.
Right.
And I think then what follows after that is just more reality of real life.
And fear to change anything.
Yes.
I'm sure you as a broker have talked to people. I've talked to people who are thinking about getting into real estate sometimes, and we think they'd be really good, but they have a fear of making change. Change is scary.
Yes.
So they're scared to make a change. They're comfortable in what they're doing, and they're making a decent living. Obviously, they're starting to question what they're doing because they're looking at other opportunities or options and thinking, well, maybe I could do that. And some will take the leap and some won't. So sometimes it's just fear that gets in our way. We still maybe dream or think that we could do something alternatively to what we're doing, but we're too scared to take a step. And really, today is about encouraging you to take one step. Start asking questions.
Right.
What am I happy with where I am in my life? If not, what would make me happy?
Right.
Start asking yourself those questions, and then start taking steps to do that.
Right. So in my kind of review of what we were going to talk about today, a lot of what I looked at was a dream versus a goal. And they define a dream as aspirational, so your imagination gets involved. And it doesn't have a date on it, right? Because you being a fashion icon didn't necessarily have a date on it, because you were a young kid in a tractor just thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, I want to do that. You could see yourself in New York City walking the streets in your fabulous attire. And then a goal, what's a goal? It's tangible and concrete, and it does have a date on it. And if it doesn't have a date, you should probably put a date on it.
Yes.
Because it's hard to achieve goals if you don't have a timeline for it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to point out is when you dream and it's kind of alive in your mind only, your goals are involving a lot of hard work, right? So when you set that goal to maybe get to your dream, and that was kind of I wanted to give those two words so that our listeners could understand the difference between them.
Yeah,
but also when you are sitting daydreaming about something you want to do, I think we often know whether we could or couldn't innately. Could I really do that? Could I get to that? And getting behind the hard work to get there is what can make the dream come true.
Right. Right.
Lots of hours and lots of probably fear that you are going to have to grasp and override inside of yourself to be able to achieve the goals and get to the dream.
Right.
So,
we could talk about the podcast in relation to that. We had both had at some point previous to when we started the podcast, we had both dreamt, if you will, about having a podcast of our own. Not unbeknownst to each of us that the other had sort of that dream.
Right. Yeah.
But then when you verbalize that, and we talked about, we just interviewed Lori Robertson last week and discussed this, so it's fresh probably in our listeners' mind, that somebody asked us a question and made us start asking questions.
Right.
And, what is the depth of knowledge that we have that we want to share? The ability to build community, all those things started to kind of gel together. So the dream was there, but then when we vocalized it,
right.
then some of those things started to become goals. We
Correct.
started sitting down and
we
talking
made the
about
list of the goals.
Right.
Yes.
And we dreamt it. Now we were visualizing it. We were setting the goals. We had a start date goal. We had all, so it went from dream to fruition.
It did.
And it took, I don't remember exactly, I started dreaming about it about 2 years before it happened. And I think we're pretty close to the same. We just, neither one individually took many steps. I took a couple of steps, but got stopped because of the fear of the technology side of that.
Right.
And that kind of put a halt because there were things I didn't understand about how to produce a podcast. And so when, sometimes it's just timing in life. It's just things fall into place. But you must put it out there. You must dream it and start setting some goals for yourself to make it come to fruition.
Yeah. So you and I both listened to Ed Milet's November podcast about dreaming, and he's so dramatic in when he gets excited about something, he's excited because he gets really dramatic. And he talked about dreaming in a way that really made you stop and think about, am I still dreaming? Do I still have dreams at our age of young 50s? Am I actively dreaming of doing things in my life still? And I would probably guess that a lot of people, because of their usual family scheduling and whatever ages their kids are potentially, or maybe the kids are out of the house and it's just a couple working and just maintaining life, just whatever life looks like.
Yeah.
It made me really think about that a lot of people probably stop dreaming. And I think that that's something that brings back those inhibitions of a child. Oftentimes when you sit and you daydream or you get an idea like the podcast, you and I had that idea independently, and it wasn't until someone asked us the question together that we started dreaming of it together.
Right.
And then we started taking those steps towards that goal. So
Yeah. And those are great things to think about. And I think, we just do get in a place in our life where I think we do. I think we stop. We stop dreaming and then we just live our lives. And like I said, today we're here to challenge you to really take stock of your life. I listened to, Terry Tucker was a guest of ours in the fall, and Terry said something to a group that I was listening to her one time, and she really put it in good perspective. And I kicked myself because I haven't done this yet. It was about 2 years ago that I heard her say this, and I've been trying to figure out how to make it happen. But basically she said, go somewhere. Maybe it's just your deck and your back deck with your favorite coffee, but you need time that is just yours. It's time by yourself where you're not going to be interrupted. You don't have your phone around you. For me, it means going somewhere. Like maybe I just need to go to Branson and rent a hotel for 2 days and I just need to it's too easy for people to get to me for me to go sit in my sunroom.
If you don't say you're out of town for 2 days.
Exactly.
Right.
So basically she said, I want you to go and find that spot where you're really comfortable and you've got your favorite drink or whatever, and you have a piece of paper in front of you and you just dream. And she said, don't just think it, feel it. Who are you with? What are the sounds around you? What does it smell like? Where are you in terms of, do you want a new house? And so you picture yourself in this new house and the people around you, and you're cooking breakfast, and because that's what you do and that's what you love to do. You need all the feels. You need to feel it all. And then you need to write it down.
Yes. You got to put it in front of you.
Yes, and we talked about that in our goals episode, how it needs to be written down. It needs to be visible for you.
Right.
But come back to it. Maybe you get started on this project and you get yourself away, and maybe you can only afford, let's say, half a day, and you start writing it out. And I'm talking longhand, write it out. I am with so-and-so, and we are so-and-so place, and I'm having my favorite cup of iced tea and my favorite gluten-free snack or whatever, and it smells like it's springtime and the birds are singing, and you have to set the stage, set the scene, if you will, for where you are, and because that will make you truly feel it. And then just let your imagination go. Don't try to unleash it. Don't try to keep things. Don't have this thought in your head, well, I want to be a fashion icon, but I'll never get there. That cannot be part of this equation.
Right.
You want to be a fashion icon, then live it. Walking down New York City street, and I'm in front of the Grand Hotel, and next to me is the park, and all the things. Live it.
Right. Well, and to that point, kind of your description there, I was doing exactly what you were saying. I was picturing myself somewhere on a sunny deck with a drink. And, you can easily walk yourself through those small steps to sit and daydream for a little bit of, is this life exactly what I wanted at this age? And another point to be made that Ed Milet made on his podcast was that if you don't put it out in the universe, you don't put it out there, and out there could be just in your thoughts alone, right? Because our dreams are our own. Right. Yes, you can have dreams with your family. You can have dreams with colleagues, whatever. But if you don't put it somewhere, then it's not probably ever going to come to fruition, and negatively. So your reference right then to, I want to be the fashion icon, but I could never do that. I'm not big enough. I don't have enough money. I've not come far enough, whatever those negative thoughts are. If you are also negative Nancy, putting too much negativism into the world and into your surroundings and into the people who surround you, then those things might come true.
Exactly.
So
we are our thoughts.
We are. And mindset is such a huge capability or a huge crutch.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Of whatever you're putting out there, whatever you're believing. And I'll tell a story here in a minute of something that I dream about. But first, what I want to do is I want to ask some follow-up questions to the questions you just kind of laid out.
Okay.
And I want our listeners to really sit wherever you are and think about these things. So, who do you want to be when you grow up? So you and I are both early 50s. We have had a real estate career. We are now in a podcast era that we're hoping leads to something else. And so who are you right now, and what job are you doing? And are you fulfilled in your life? Do you still dream of moving up the ladder and being in that higher position? Do you dream of being in something completely different because you hate the job that you do? Are you stuck in that job? Another question, where do you want to go? You love to travel. I love to travel. have you been to the places that are on your bucket list? Do you have a bucket list? Have you written down the places that you want to go? Mm-hmm. Have you shared those dreams with your family, with your friends? Have you gotten inspiration from that conversation? Because that's a lively conversation around a table with friends of what's on your bucket list. Ooh, I would love to go there too. Why do you want to go there? Well, they might enrich your path knowing something about a place that you never thought of going, but now you want to go there. Where do you want to live? So we all have a home right now. Are we in the home that we see ourselves retiring in? Do we see ourselves moving off and living in another city? Is that a dream that we've always had, to live somewhere else besides here, Springfield, Mo? Do you want to live at the lake, perhaps? Well, why not? Is that going to hinder you from, doing your job that you're in? If you see yourself staying in that job until retirement, why can't you live at the lake? What do you want to look like? So are you as healthy as you want to be, Angie? Do you eat healthy? Do you exercise? Are you 50 pounds overweight? If so, why haven't you done something about it if you're not happy with that? And maybe you are happy in your exact body shape, whatever weight you're at. But if not, what steps would you have to take to get to that next place? Who inspires you? And why do they inspire you? And maybe you could go to a concert of somebody who inspires you. Maybe you could go to a retreat of something that inspires you. We've talked about a yoga meditation retreat recently in some of our conversations. What is holding you back from not making that weekend excursion come to a reality? Right. So these are all questions that, we could go on and on and on, but it just kind of puts you in a place of, well, am I living the life that I want to live? And it doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. We are always evolving. And our minds are changing, our body makeup is changing. Our visions and our dreams for the future and our goals that we have written down, are they getting us to where we want to be, who we want to be, where we want to visit? It's a really big conversation to have with yourself, right?
It is. And some of these dreams, the things you mentioned, aren't huge things. You could have a dream that you want to have a lake house.
Absolutely.
You could have a dream that you want to visit Bora Bora. You could, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to totally change my life.
No, not at all.
It could be something that is smaller in scope, that again, but you need to start talking about it. Something that you said there made me think, I want to make this point that we most of us don't operate independently. We have a significant other, we have family members. Right. I would never move anywhere, while my parents are still living, and those things. But your dreams are conversations you have to have with the people around you, right, because you need to know that they support you. When Tanya and I wanted to start this podcast, we started sort of putting it out there to different people. And lucky for us, our response was very positive. I think we would have done it anyway because we're just stubborn that way. But lucky for us, we have a lot of people in our corners that are supportive, that say, yeah, you should do that. And, made suggestions and helped us along the way. Right. And, but you need those people. And here's the other thing I'm going to say, that if your dream is called stupid or not supported or ridiculed for any reason, maybe you need to...
You're in the wrong crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the wrong family.
Yeah.
No, but seriously.
Yeah, you have to look at those people that are surrounding you.
Yeah.
And if they're not supportive, maybe that should be the dream, is to be able to surround yourself with the right crowd, with the right people.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you about one of my dreams that I started dreaming probably, I'm going to say maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And it was to own a beach house. So my family and I traveled to the seaside Rosemary Beach area for the first time. And I fell in love with it. It wasn't a typical Florida vacation that I'd been on in years past. And I wrote that down on my list of my goals. And it's been on my list of goals and still is. It'll still be on my list. But what happened for me has been life has happened in those 6-7 years since I had that dream, and it's kind of changed the trajectory and the dream itself, because I don't know if you've priced beach houses lately, Angie, but they're kind of expensive.
Yeah,
and they're kind of unreachable in the Rosemary Beach area unless I win the lottery or something. But so sometimes you have to scale it back and say, okay, it's going to be a condo. And it's not going to be in Rosemary Beach. It's going to be somewhere along the beach.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you have this dream. But what I did do along with that dream, Angie, is I started looking into the reality of it. So pricing, I started getting on an app and looking to see what the prices were. And then I kind of scaled that back with, okay, well, I can't afford that, but I could afford this. And I have a friend that moved to the kind of the seaside area, and she's a realtor down there. So she set me up on a portal. So I get those emails sent to me so I can see what is happening in the market down there.
Yeah.
Life stepped in 2020 when my mom had her stroke, and I had the gift of a grandbaby. So in a few years' time from that dream, and in that original dream, I had thought, okay, by 55, that was kind of a number I had in my head, I will have worked enough, saved enough, done the right things enough that I could maybe live down there a couple months of the year, buy something down there, obviously stay here as well because of family and my job and what have you. Well, things really took a turn when my mom had a stroke, and I, I'm the only child that lives here to be her primary caregiver. And then Blake coming along. Now I have 2 grandkids, and, a few more years later, I can't be away from them for more than a week at a time.
Yeah.
So my vision of the dream has changed.
Right.
But my goals along the way were to become more financially independent so that I could see that beach house in my future.
Right.
And so I have made moves to become more financially independent and will be in the next year or so that in the future, if I get the opportunity to buy that condo, because now, again, the dream kind of changed, I've got grandkids to take it to.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
There you go.
So the original dream has transformed into kind of a different dream, but it's also very, in my mind anyway, it's very easy to reach that dream because I'm making these goals along the way. And I'm checking off boxes along the way.
Right. So even though the dream has morphed, if you will, you still took the steps to make that dream happen, which is leading you to a better place anyway than where you were when you started. So sometimes that just happens, and sometimes you just have to roll with it, and you don't know where life is going to take you. And having that dream, it may not look exactly like you dreamt it.
Right. No.
And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes those dreams do get squashed with a new reality. And that could be good or bad. It could be you meet somebody, get married, and they send you on a completely different trajectory. Right? Than what you ever envisioned would happen.
Right.
So, and that's just one small example.
Yeah.
Angel, let's talk about dopamine for a minute.
Yeah.
So the definition of dopamine is it's a neurotransmitter made in your brain, and it plays a role as a reward center in many body functions, including memory, movement, motivation, mood, attention.
Yeah. It's called the feel-good hormone.
Yeah.
And it's always released if you start dreaming, your release of dopamine is going to go through the roof. That's really why we want to talk about the science behind what we're discussing is the dopamine release.
Right.
It's that feel-good hormone, and when you start to dream and take steps towards your dream, you're going to have more dopamine release. So there is a science behind what we talk about.
Yeah, there is. And for me, I think about the dopamine release and thinking about that beach house, and it gets me excited, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it invigorates me, and it makes me want to work harder to achieve that goal.
Right.
And that is our natural ability to, I don't really know how to say this, but the dopamine allows us to have that natural ability to dream, and it seem like it can happen. It can come true, right? Right. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it improves your mood, it improves your sleep, it learning, concentration, all those things. It has great attributes. So there is good things that can happen in your body when you're dreaming.
Yes.
And what I want to say, something that, and you referenced Ed Milet in a podcast that he did, he talked about how our bodies are always reconstructing ourselves, our liver, our skin cells. We're constantly losing skin cells and hair, and our body physically is always reinventing ourselves. So why shouldn't we do that with our mind?
Exactly.
And that's what we hope to encourage you to do. It is we really want you to encourage your takeaway for today is take a step towards making that dream a reality.
Right.
Whatever that is, start setting some goals, but enjoy the journey along the way. And I wanted to mention that I saw an interview with Sean Payton, now the coach of the Denver Broncos, was the coach of the New Orleans Saints when he won the Super Bowl. And I saw an interview with him, and they asked him, what's next? Now, once you've won the Super Bowl, what's after that? What's to look forward to? And he said, that's a really great question. And he said, what I would do differently is I would enjoy the journey more, because the journey to get there, the work we put in every day, the small steps that we took to become that Super Bowl champion team, the wins that we had daily, the improvements in the players, the improvements when they got the plays, all of that, the journey is really what was enjoyable. Winning was fantastic, but he said it's hard to achieve much more than that.
Yeah.
When you've set the goal and you've made the dream come true, then it's time you're going to have to reevaluate and set a new dream. But don't miss the journey along the way. One of my favorite quotes, if I may share, is, and I have this hanging in my house, it says, trust the wait, embrace the uncertainty, enjoy the beauty of becoming. When nothing is certain, anything is possible.
So true. I love that.
So true.
I would like to also leave our listeners with just a couple of ideas on goals and dreams and keeping those active in your minds. Goals are something you're acting on. Dreams are something you're just thinking about. Goals have deadlines. Dreams are just dreams. Dreams are free. Goals have a cost, like time. Goals produce results, and dreams don't. Dreams are imaginary. Goals are based in reality. Goals have a finish line. Dreams never have to end. Dreams can inspire you. Goals can change your life. So true.
So true.
Goals must have focus. Dreams don't need any focus. You just go wild. Goals require hard work. Dreams just require your imagination. And lastly, dreams stretch your imagination. Goals stretch you.
Yep.
And I love that.
True. So true. So true.
So let's wrap this up, Angie.
Let's do it. So we just want to encourage you to get out and dream. And again, no excuses. Absolutely none.
None.
Doesn't matter where you are, who you are, where you are in life, how old you are.
Exactly.
None of that makes any difference.
And share with us next time we see you. Share with us some of your dreams, because we would love to hear them. Yeah. We want to thank Gershman Studios, Jordan and Kate, for helping us with the podcast, and we will see you next time.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Simply Authentic podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Be sure to listen to us on your favorite podcasting app.